I was not very good at marketing, and it was very, very early, kind of pre-internet. I mean, this is like 99, the dot-com thing is happening, but you couldn't really, the way to market was still in kind of paper magazines and, events. So I started writing a lot of articles in things like, Java Programmers Digest and, all these kind of software magazines, presenting at like a software development best practices conference. And I got approached at a conference by someone who said, look, I represent a government agency. We're using a lot of the technologies you just described. It's going really, really poorly. Would you come in and help us out? And so that customer turned out to be the FBI right across the river in DC, Pennsylvania Avenue. And they had tried to adopt a software pretty early in kind of a client-server architecture, and it just was not working for their field agents. And I said, look, this is never going to work. I could probably rewrite it for you. When's the deadline? And they're like, 6 months from now. And I said, okay, I'll work night and day. I'll write this for you, but I never want to have anything to do with a government customer again. So I started working on that. It was just like, you guys are like totally disorganized, right? And I was able to deliver the thing to them that the agents could use in the field that they liked. And I then just left. And I said, okay, Lyle, I think we have a business in this kind of world of kind of enterprise software. It's not really engineering oriented, but this was a successful project. I think this is the direction we can go.
What are the biggest mistakes, if you think about it, that you made along the way in that sort of at whatever point, either the earlier days or as you built this thing?
At some point, just by the way the cash flow was going, hit the wall where we couldn't make payroll. And we were just kind of like, what are we going to do? I mean, we were totally like, our backs are up against the wall. And I know this happens to a lot of good companies where you have receivables. Even though we had saved money for 2 years, it wasn't enough. And the only thing that saved us was American Express sent over these paper checks as like an incentive to transfer your balance from another credit card to American Express. I actually wrote one of those checks out to myself and cashed it at the bank to like bridge payroll. It's terrible.
It worked?
It worked. So it was supposed to be like written to Visa to like, like pay off your balance. I just wrote it to like Platinum and cashed it. And it actually worked where I could make payroll. And then, we actually got, an invoice paid. But it's one of those like near death experiences where for a lot of small businesses, if they have no access to credit, they can just disappear. And I did not have enough cash. So that was one, really bad mistake.
Wait, before we go on to the second one, how large were you when this occurred?
It was a significant payroll. So we had at least like 6 or 7 employees at the time.
So it wasn't like just you and your wife. I mean, this was...
this is a check.
This was like a significant, like, I didn't know what the limit on this was. I didn't,
Let's find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, I got another one. You take this one too? Put that in, see if it goes.
One of the mistakes I made, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs that read books like The E-Myth do the same thing. I was writing all the code in the company, and I'd hired people, but I was still kind of a micromanager. I would walk around everybody's screen and say, don't do it that way, change this. There was a point where I was kind of like, Lila, I'm working 20 hours a day. I can't really like grow this company anymore. It's like for the people that are sitting at this one table, I can manage them, but I don't think we can get any bigger. And that's when it was like, all right, Lila, if you come over to the company and help kind of organize this thing from just like an all engineer, no organization kind of business. Maybe we can grow it beyond like my internal ceiling. And so that's what happened. I mean, Lila came in, looked at it, what I was doing for a little while, and it was like, you just can't write any more code. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're like a tyrant. You're like everyone's afraid to do anything. You're a perfectionist. She's like, you're hiring these great software engineers, but you're not She's like, I think what you should be doing is going out and meeting with technical customers, representing the company. She's like, I'll manage them. You get out there and like, don't write code. And so we were only like a dozen people at the time, maybe. And I had a meeting and I said, I'm not writing any more software. And everybody was kind of like, what? What are you going to do around here, man?